Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Mr. Taylor. And hey guys, welcome to another edition of Talking TSIA2. Let's get started with today's video.
Today we're going to talk a little vocabulary. We're going to try to figure out how do we translate the math words into actually math problems. Okay? So here's a nice little chart. Maybe you want to pause for a second, take a screenshot, but this is a good little way to generalize all the different symbols that we see and the words that mean them. We're going to break these down individually, so if you want to wait, you can do that. But this is a good screen that has everything all in one place. All right, so let's talk a little bit about addition. When you see a plus sign, you might hear words like plus, and, total of, more than, combined. All those words inside there are words that mean let's add. So here's a couple of word problem examples. Together, Tom and Jack ate 46 pieces of pizza. So in math, we're going to put a plus sign. I let T to represent Tom, J to represent Jack. So together, Tom plus Jack ate 46. So that equals 46. Or there were a total of 9 cats and dogs at the shelter. Cats is C, dogs is 9. A total of means we're adding them. So we said C plus D equals 9. But y'all, it doesn't have to be an equation. It can be an expression. Expressions don't have equal signs. The number of days over 100 degrees increased by 6 this month. Guys, beware of traps. Not all words that we see in a problem are necessary to solve it. In this case, the 100 degrees that we see had nothing to do with the problem that we needed to write. We just know that the number of days over that 100 degrees increased by 6. There were 6 more, however you want to look at that, but that means we're going to add. So whatever we had last month, X, we add 6 to it. So we wrote X plus 6. Subtraction. Subtraction signs, pretty easy. Take away, fewer, less than, difference. Those are words that usually when we see them, we want to write a subtraction sign. So here's a word problem. The reservations decreased by 20 since last week. Okay, so we'll take whatever reservations we had. It doesn't tell us. We use our own variable in. And we'll subtract 20 because that's what it says. It was decreased by 20. The difference in age between the Batman and Robin was 25 years. Difference, that means we subtract. So we take Batman minus Robin, B minus R is equal to 25. 6 less than a number. Be careful. Less than and less get confusing sometimes. But if we're saying 6 less than a number, we need to start with the number and subtract 6. Okay? So those are some key words when we're doing subtraction. Multiplication, product, multiplied by. The word in the middle of is one of my favorite. That's one we don't think about very often. Of means to multiply. Okay? Twice a number. Okay, that's just translated to be 2x. The product of product. Oh, we're going to multiply x and y. 2/3 of a number. Y'all, of, please remember this. Of means to multiply. So we said 2/3 of a number is 2/3 times n. Division. Usually we talk about a quotient or half. We split it up. It's a divisor. Divided into. My favorite word here, though, y'all, is per, P-E-R. When you see the word per, it's a subtraction. We're setting up a fraction. Remember, a division bar is just a way to write a fraction. So if you see half a number, that's just a number divided by 2. 20%. A percent, that's not division, is it? Well, yeah. Percent means out of 100. So we're taking 20 out of 100, or 20 per 100, percent, okay? So 20 per 100 is 20 divided by 100. And y'all know cent? There's 100 cents in a dollar. So that's how you can remember it's 100. 65 miles per hour. It set up a ratio. That's another key word for division, a ratio. If you can just realize 65 miles per hour, we could set this up as a division, 65 divided by 1. 65 miles divided by 1 hour. Or you could say it's the ratio of apples to bananas. That would just be A divided by B. Equal sign. Whenever you see is, are, were, was, yeah, those are all words that means equals. Maybe sometimes you'll hear will be. Yields, that's an interesting one. There were 2 cans of Dr. Pepper. So I just said D is equal to 2. A first edition Spider-Man comic sold for $700. So the comic was equal to $700. A good tree yields 36 apples. Y'all, those aren't words we're used to seeing, sold for and yields. So sometimes they get confusing. That's just another way that we want to say equals. Okay? Parentheses. A lot of times when you're trying to put things in parentheses, you're going to see things like the quantity of, or lots of it, twice the sum of, times the sum of, times the difference of. When you see that whole big combination, that means we've got to put them in parentheses. Twice the sum of x and y. Well, twice, remember a few slides back, means 2 times. Well, it's 2 times the entire sum of. So we need to put the sum of in parentheses, x plus y. So we can take the entire sum, twice the sum of x and y. 4 times the quantity of A and B. 4 times the quantity, oh, that's parentheses, of A and B. So we have A plus B, put that in parentheses, and we multiply it by a 4 on the outside. So parentheses words, usually it's a big combination. Quantity of, sum of, those are the key ones that we're normally going to see. Okay? Let's look at a couple of examples. The length of a rectangle is 6 more than the width, and the perimeter, hey, that's nice, they gave us the formula. Perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. So it says the perimeter of the rectangle is 28. What is the width of the rectangle? All right, so when I read this again, if the length of a rectangle is, so I just put L to represent the length of my rectangle, and is means equals. 6 more than the width. 6 more than, that's addition. So I'm just going to say 6 plus W, or you could write it the other way, W plus 6. Don't forget, they gave us the perimeter formula. I'm just going to bring it down. Perimeter is equal to 2 times L plus 2 times, wait a second, I know what L is. I'm just going to use some substitution now. Instead of writing an L in the perimeter formula, I'm going to put what L equals, W plus 6. So I'm really going to say that the perimeter is equal to 2 times the quantity of, even though they didn't put that in there, W plus 6, plus another 2W. But remember, they use the word is in here for me as well. The perimeter is 28. There we go, y'all. We just set up this equation. Now it's just about working the math to solve it. So let's come over here and let's work this out. So twice the sum of W plus 6, or 2 times W plus 6 plus 2W is equal to 28. I'm going to distribute the 2 because I know any number outside of the parentheses means to distribute. So I'm going to get a 2W plus a 12. Didn't change the 2W at the end, so we're going to still add our 2W, and this is still going to be equal to a 28. But I see a 2W at the beginning and a 2W at the end, and I'm adding those together. A 2W plus another 2W gives us a 4W. We're still adding 12, and it's still equal to 28. Well, I need to get my numbers together. So if I subtract 12 from both sides, I'm going to end up with a 4W is equal to 16. Divide both sides by 4, and I get W is equal to 4. And remember, that's what this question asked me. The question says, what is the width? Well, the width of this rectangle would have been 4. Good job. Another problem. Driving at an average speed of 40 miles per hour, approximately how many hours does it take Speed Racer to travel to a town that is 212 miles away? All right, if you look in that corner, you can see that we can use a calculator on this problem. And if we click on that button on the real test, a calculator will pop up. That might be pretty helpful here for us. So let's read this again. Driving at an average speed of does that mean I multiply? Okay, I don't think, because I can't, an average speed times, no, okay. So an average speed of 40 miles per, ooh, I do know when I see per, I can write a fraction bar. And I know it's 40 miles per hour, so I can put my 40 miles over my 1 hour. Now I have a nice simple little fraction, a ratio. And then keep reading. Approximately how many hours does it take Speed Racer to travel to a town that's 212 miles away? So I'm looking for an hour, and I have some more miles. I bet I can set this up as a ratio. Set it up as a proportion, where one fraction is equal to another fraction. How many hours? I don't know the number of hours. I know hours goes on the bottom because my first ratio had hours on the bottom. It's 212 miles away. Well, miles was on top, so I'm going to leave my miles on top. Here we go. You just set up your ratio. How do we solve a ratio? Well, we want to cross multiply. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 40 miles and multiply it by my unknown hours. I don't know what that is, so I just called it X. We're going to set that equal to cross multiplying the other direction. 212 miles times an hour is 212. So here's where I use my calculator. I know to solve this, I'm going to divide both sides by 40 to get the X all by itself. So when I type 212 divided by 40 in my calculator, I figured out that, you know what? It's going to take Speed Racer about 5.3 hours to travel to that next town.